We will make this simple scene in under 15 minutes for free with Unreal Engine. First, go to unrealengine.com and follow the step installation instructions to install Unreal Engine and the Epic Games Launcher. Then let's go to the Epic Games Launcher to install the Fab plugin that replaced Quixel Bridge, which we will need to download assets later. Search for Fab in your Fab library and you should see the Fab plugin pop up. Then you can launch Unreal Engine from in here or from your desktop icon. Create a new project under the Film, Video, and Live Events category. We start with a floor, so let's delete it and create our own landscape. Go into landscape mode. In the materials section, search for grass, and we should find the grass that comes with the starter content. And let's use a 7x7 since we don't need much room. Click create. You can move your view around using the QWEASD keys. We can change the size of our sculpt brush and create hills and valleys while holding shift. Our shadows are a little blocky, so I'm going to change our project settings to use the regular shadows map instead of virtual shadows maps. You might also notice the hills warp when moving closer and farther. This is because our level of detail is changing from different distances, so I will change the landscape LOD to stay at 0. Now for some foliage. Go to the foliage mode and you will see a spot to drop foliage in. Under Window, you can go to Fab if you installed the Fab plugin, which will bring up a window like this. In here, under Discover, select 3D Models, Nature and Plants, and sort by lowest price to find the free assets. If I search for grass, there are tons of free assets, some individual models and some bundles. First, I'm going to grab this flower pack and add to the project. The Add to the Project button only appears if you access Fab through the window and have the plugin installed. Let's add a regular grass, some spruce trees, some beech trees, and lastly I'll add an oak tree pack. Back in our Unreal Engine window under the Content drawer, we will see all these assets we downloaded. If we filter by static mesh, we will see all the plants we can use. So I'm just going to click Control and grab a bunch of different grasses and drag them into our foliage section. Same for the flowers and trees. If you select the plants, some more options will pop up. For all the plants, I'm going to give them varying sizes by changing the minimum scale X value. We will wait to change the density depending on which plants we use. And if we wanted to plant trees on hills, we would uncheck the align to normal. The first thing I'm going to do is uncheck everything except the grasses. If we print the grass, it is a bit too scattered. If I increase the density to 2000, now it looks much more tightly packed. So I'm going to cover this area with grass. Then let's make a little trail. So change the brush size to the size trail path that looks good. And select the erase mode. Let's set our erase density to around 0.2 so we will still have a little bit of grass left when we erase. Then erase a little path. Next, uncheck everything except the flowers and paint a patch. That looks good at 100 density because we only want the flowers sprinkled in. Same as the grass, I'm going to delete some flowers from the path because there's a bit too many in there. I'm going to select only the spruce trees first to create a thick border of trees around this scene. I will make the density really low to just 1 and start painting the trees around the border. I'm going to go ahead and set all the trees to density 1. Then I will select some different trees to scatter on the inner forest area. The last trees I'll add are the beech trees. These are really tall and will create a nice canopy that lets the light peek through in a pretty way. Let's save and rebuild everything. FYI, I added some more beech trees that I didn't show. After we build our light, let's look into our forest. If we click on the light source and change the rotation, we can get different positions of the sun, which creates different types of shadows. After we decide on one, rebuild the lighting again. Now let's record the scene. Click the movie icon to create a new sequence, and click the Add Item dropdown to add a new cinematic camera actor. Then we're going to drag this camera actor into our new scene. We need to add our foxes to this scene too, so let's go back to Fab and search for Smart Assets. Sort by price and filter for animal. I'm going to download this animal variety pack and add it to the project. Back in our content drawer, we have a few animals to choose from. If you filter by skeletal mesh, we can clearly see them all. Let's click and drag the fox into our world. You can duplicate items by holding Alt and dragging away from the original item. You can change the size, rotation, and position by clicking the item and changing options with the WER keys. I'm going to position the foxes so that they can run down the path easily in a straight line. Let's add both foxes to our scene, and we will add a marker to their current position by clicking the Transform Plus icon. All markers default to cubic type, but we want linear for the foxes. Cubic markers are better for changing camera positions so they ease in and out of positions. So with our camera set as our viewport with this icon selected, let's find a good first position for our camera. I'm going to change the camera speed so we can get smaller camera movements since we are zoomed in. Let's place a transform marker here. With the camera selected, you can search its settings for the focus settings and click the eyedropper to have it automatically focus on an item, and add the marker that way too. Our current focal length is good too, so we will add a marker for that. Now let's go back to the normal viewport, drag the timeline to the end of the scene. We're going to add a location marker for our foxes, so by the end of the scene, they end up in a different location. So I'm just going to drag the fox all the way up here and add a transform marker. Same for the other fox. As you can see, while changing the time, our foxes go from one transform marker to the other. Let's add some animations for our foxes. Most smart assets will have some animations ready for you to use. So I'll make these animations continue for the entire time the foxes are moving from one transform marker to the other. Press play or move the timeline yourself and you can see them moving from their transform marker location while animating. So now the foxes are done, let's do some camera work. Click our camera as the viewport again. Right now our camera only has one position. First I'm going to delete the camera's start position and make new positions again. So find the right focal length you want, transform position you want, and add those markers. Then, like before, select the camera and use the eyedropper tool to add focus to the fox you want in focus, and add that marker. Then drag the timeline a bit further, and we're going to change our camera position at this time. So again, change any focal length you want and transform position and add those markers. And add a focus distance marker. One more time, move the timeline to the end of the clip and we will add our final camera position markers. Let's play this and you can see the camera is transitioning to each of these positions and focuses along the timeline markers. If you want, you can add different exposure, color, shadow, bloom, and many other settings for your camera too. I'll just add some bloom to give it a little more magical vibe. To export this clip, click the movie icon and render it. The movie will be rendered as multiple frames in the project's Movie Renders folder, which for me is documents/Unreal projects/test projects/saved/movie renders. Then you can open your favorite video editor. I use DaVinci, which is also free to use and download. And you can simply import media, select all the rendered frames, make sure the FPS matches up, and edit the video however you normally would. Thanks for watching and have fun!